Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Gulfstream today. Ron Nicoletti along with Ashley Mayu. Got a little bit of a late start this afternoon. Got the scratches a little late this morning because we are off the turf this afternoon. Got a fast main track, but no turf racing throughout the afternoon. Boy, we got hammered with rain yesterday.
Yeah, I feel like that's been the occurrence about the last week. We've been off, or at least the cards have moved somewhat through the card. They've moved onto the main track, so unfortunately, we are off the turf today. Most of the dirt races, though, they stayed pretty much intact. I'm looking forward to one of the later races today with my long shot in there, so glad to see he's still in the field.
You know, and a couple of the two-year-old stakes that we had today, a lot of the good horses stayed in one of the races at least. And, you know, they're two-year-olds. They're going to try the dirt. And I like a horse that ran exceptionally well on the turf, in its last time out to win. But I'm going to use that horse in the dirt today. But that's a little later on. So here's the thing. We got a fast main track. We had the Astronic 5 yesterday. I think it paid $1,900. I think the highest price horse was $12.40.
Yeah, 40 winners, I believe, too, as well as cashing that. So there's a decent amount of money in the pool. You can see $1,922.20. Couple favorites. First leg at Laurel, and then the second leg, which was here at Gulfstream Park, race 6, $4 in each of those. So not much prices there, but at least there was a price in race number 9 at Laurel, leg C, to kind of inflate that price.
Well, you're the math genius on the show, and that looks like a big overlay, as Pete calls it.
Yeah, that's a huge overlay. It definitely paid better than I would have expected.
Yeah, so race 1 today is going to be run at 7 furlongs on the fast main track, originally scheduled for 7.5 on the turf. And Ashley put a ticket together, early pick 5. Let's check it out.
Yeah, I definitely changed around this early pick 5. I go too deep in here in the opener. I'll still use my horses that stayed in here, the 6 and the 9. Race 2, I used 2 runners in here. I think the 5 is maybe the horse to beat, but I'm curious about the number 2, Include the Beast, who I know you like in that spot as well. Race 3, I decided to spread in here. I used 4 runners, the number 1, the Green Crusader, as well as the 4, Gone Nuts, the 6, Captain Sensible, and the 7, Hooray, Hooray, Hooray. Race 4, 2 deep in there, 5.5 furlongs on the main track. And I'll use the number 4, Folk Hero, and the 8, Awesome Appeal. I just think looking at this field, there's 6 runners. I think the horses with race day experience have the edge, so I use both of them in there. And then to wrap things up, first stake of the day, the Armed Forces, was originally for a mile on the turf, now 1 mile on the main track. And in here, I'll use 3 runners in total. I'll use the number 2, Golden the 3, None Franklin, who I was really hoping for the turf, as well as the number 4, Eldon's Prince, who was 2-1 on the morning line, exiting a big turf win. As we mentioned, we'll see what these horses can do on the dirt today.
And that's why I left the number 9, Night Jumper, in my ticket. And that's my long shot of the day today because I just like the way that horse ran on the turf. We're actually going to show you that race a little later on, albeit it was on the turf course. But I just thought it would be good to see it again. Well, getting back to the first race today, 7 furlongs originally scheduled for 7.5. I went with the number 6 horse in here, and that's Eye of the Temple, who's wheeling back after tracking the pace and finishing a distant second in its 35 debut. That was his turf debut, going 8 furlongs. Gadiel Martinez, and you're going to get Antonio Sano in the saddle today.
Yeah, looking at this horse, Eye of the Temple, you mentioned last time out was second on the class drop. It was going a mile on the turf, but I will say when you look at the 2 dirt races, both against maiden special weight competition, there was an improvement second time out, finished mid-pack there. It was over a sloppy main track going 5A, so this is going to be different. Our track right now is fast, so I think this one's going to improve getting on a fast main track.
Yeah, and the number 9 that you have on top of your ticket, Anything But Subtle. You know, an okay performance on the dirt last time out against State Bred maiden special weight competition. Showed some early interest, backed up, dropping to the 35 level. Looks like a good spot for a horse that's going to run on the dirt.
Yeah, this is one that I really liked, if we're going to be on the turf. But I will say the thing here is Armando de la Cerda, the trainer, with maiden second time, 18% with a $4.24 RI. So some nice numbers there. Was 4-1 on the morning line. You talked about the debut. There was a bunch of trouble in the debut as well. So I know that the race certainly looks lackluster, but this horse was slammed out of the gate, had some problems, stumbled there. So I think there's going to be a big turnaround for this one.
And the number 2, Eversillo, drops after facing maiden special weight company, going 7 on the dirt. So it's a very similar situation to the number 9 this afternoon. I thought this horse can run well, dropping down, and we'll see how they run. Oscar Gonzalez, the trainer this afternoon. And then we both used Drinks on the Beach, who gets in off the AOE list. They showed some speed going on 2 turns on the turf, turning back to 7 on the dirt. One of my my favorite angles.
Yeah, I think you summed it up there. Early speed. I know this horse has an outside draw in here, but there's enough scratches going to get a fine post position today. And just tired in there on the debut, so I like that this one's staying at the $35,000 level.
Let's go to race number 2 this afternoon. 5 1/2 furlongs. These are claiming fillies. Fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and up. $6,250. And we both have the number 5, DeLonga, on top of our ticket, who drops to the $6,250 level today.
When you look at the last 6 races from her, only one was on the main track. That was 2 starts back when she was able to win in there by 3 lengths. She's been favored in her last 3, so she was favored in that spot. But the thing for me is she can race on turf, but she can also race on the dirt. You look at her here over the main track. She's 4 for 7 in terms of wins, 6 for 7 in the money over the Gulfstream Park dirt.
Well, we both have to include the beast in second. Let's go back and show you this horse's performance also against a horse in here called Miss Big Spring. And you're going to see Miss Big Spring on the engine here at 12-1. And, of course, include the beast was the 7-5 favorite today. This one went to the lead, the 6 horse, and really did not look back. And the 7 just could, 1-5, excuse me, that afternoon. Just couldn't go by Miss Big Spring, who's back in this race today.
Yeah, this one I just couldn't get by. This one wasn't actually an upset in here. But I think when you include the beast, it's still a great performance overall. Even on the inside there was just heavily favored, and it was an upset. I know this took a lot of people out of some of their multi-race sequences. And another thing I wanted to bring up here when we talk about include the beast, a trainer stat really quickly for the connections. They just claimed this one. This is not a newcomer to the barn, though. They previously trained this runner. Just want to look at how they've done first off the claim the past 2 years. Marcial Navarro has done quite well, 19% in terms of wins, 69% in the money with $1.45 ROI. So when I put all the numbers together and you see what this 3-year-old filly's been doing, I think she's probably the main threat to the morning line favorite.
Well, let's go to race number 3, which is originally scheduled for a mile on the turf, now to be run at a 1-turn mile on the main track. These are maiden special weight state-bred 2-year-olds. And I did keep the number 1, the Green Crusader, on top of my ticket today. I just thought this horse had a chance to run well. He's rallying late to finish 4th. But he was behind some tough 2-year-olds in those races. I think Octane and King Cab, produced it in that last race. Produced 5 next out winners from 10 starters. I think King Cab came back and didn't run that well in this next start, if I remember.
No, he didn't in the Florida Sire Stakes. He had some issues in there, but he looks to be fine after that race. And I just want to point out one thing, Ron, before we jump into this. I just got a text. I don't usually look at my phone, but there is a mistake in the DRF and Aquabase for the 2-year-old races today. When they were scheduled for a mile on the turf, they will not be run at a mile on the main track. They will be run at 7/8. So this is something we will certainly be stressing throughout the day. Big change there. Not a mile. It is 7/8. You mentioned the Green Crusader. I think he's kind of sneaky in here because he's one that's gradually stretched out. Now he's going to go from 6 furlongs to 7 furlongs, blinkers on. And he's made up some ground in both of them. I mean, they've mentioned he's been slow to start, he's gone wide, but I like that he's been able to kind of move forward. So he's one that I liked getting onto the turf, but I also like him just staying on the dirt today in this spot.
Yeah, now that it's 7 furlongs, I think I could like him a little bit more.
Yeah, I think so too. I think a mile might be a little long for him, but he's been in the perfect position in those last 2, just been a little too short.
Well, here's a horse that's certainly not named after me, and that's Captain Sensible, who you have on top of your ticket.
This is a first-time starter for Mark Casse, Edwin Gonzalez. I feel like I say this, I don't know, once a day. They're 45% here at Gulfstream Park, so it's a big angle there that I'm looking at. In terms of work, has had some breezes at Palm Meadows over the turf course, the last 2 over the dirt. I like the last work. I think it was a step up, 48-3, breezing from the gate. Just no matter what, I have to use the 2-year-olds on debut.
Well, the number 7, Hooray, 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 who I have in second, you have a little further down, comes off really a couple of nice sprints on the dirt for Catherine Davey. And if you just heard Ashley, this race will be run at 7/8 of a mile.
Yeah, I think this really bodes well for this runner. I honestly didn't use this horse if it was on the turf, and then I saw, 2 back-to-back second-place finishes in those races over the main track, and they stepped this one up. They debuted at the $25,000 maiden claiming level, went against state-bred maiden special weight competition last time out. Figures to be part of the pace scenario, and it worked out pretty well for him last time out. It'll be interesting to see what a couple of the newcomers kind of do in terms of the pace scenario.
Well, Gone Nuts is stretching out to the 7 furlongs on the dirt. He stalked the pace. He finished third. That was on the turf for Mark Casse.
Yeah, the other Mark Casse. You can see I used them 1-2 in here. I've learned my lesson the hard way. It was a good debut. It wasn't great, but I will say when you look at the top 2 in there, None Franklin's in one of the stakes late races later on today was slow to kind of break in there. I think that one's going to be an okay racehorse. So Gone Nuts just beaten by 2 2 lengths in there. The barn does well with maiden second time out. I didn't look too much into the rider. I know we always talk about where does Edwin go, where does Amisael go. Amisael rode this horse on debut, so I think he just stuck with his mount.
Let's go to race number 4 this afternoon, a 5.5 furlong sprint. These are maiden claiming filly 2-year-olds, $25,000. And boy, awesome appeal. They left off one of the L's here, or one of the P's, I should say, in there. Has a claiming tag cut in half after showing speed and tiring late in back-to-back sprints at the 50 level. Just on the drop today, looks like the horse to beat. Dan Peter, Kristen Torres handling the outside post.
Yeah, she's going to drop. She doesn't have to kind of face Chestnut Checkers, who's been second in both of those races. Story told and Vecchio d'Argento being the winners. Has been forwardly placed and has tired in there. So last time out was at 6 furlongs. Her debut is at today's 5.5 furlong distance. It is just some significant class relief for her. And I mentioned in here, I feel like you agree with me, Ron. We use the 8 and the 4 on top. I mean, they have the race day experience, and I think in this spot, that's what they need. They have the edge.
Yeah, Folk Hero goes to the Jorge Delgado barn after the claim returns to the same level, hoping to change in scenery. So-so debut at the distance, but the barn is sharp with new claims.
Very sharp with new claims. I'll give you your stat, 27%. And then in terms of 2-year-olds, 26% with their 2-year-old runners. It is first off the claim. They did claim off of Safi Joseph Jr., so I don't know how much you can really improve when the barn is kind of crushing it at the meet so far. Edgar Zayas, though, climbing aboard and wins at 22% with Jorge Delgado.
And the number 2 horse in here, La Comparista, I think Parasita, is a daughter of Mastery, debuting for Jose D'Angelo with 7 Palm Meadows workouts showing. I think you watch the tote action just see if this horse takes some money. Actually, the morning line favorite in there.
I was a little surprised by that. I think I would give the edge to the other runners, but I mean, this horse has been working well, has shown steady improvement, and I agree. I'm going to watch the tote here. Now, there are 2 scratches of the 6 and the 7, so I think that'll change things up with this being a compact field of 6, but certainly something to watch.
So I guess the next race, the 5th race, the Armed Forces, will be run at 7 furlongs on the main track this afternoon. So make sure you mark that down. That's 7 furlongs on the turf for these 2-year-olds, $75,000. First of 3 stakes races on the dirt scratched, only the 5 and 8 in this particular race. And I just want to go back and show you Night Jumper. I know this race is on the turf, but I just want to show you this horse's performance to win at a $35,000 level. First, you're going to see this horse coming out of the gate, and he's just keen right out of the gate. He is the number 5 horse this day, and you just see him. He's really hard to settle, and you know, he sort of gets steadied twice and back, and that carries on. I'm not going to show, but that was basically the horse was on the bit all the way up the backstretch, was very keen and was hard to handle. You're going to see him there. I'm going to go into the final turn. It's a similar situation. He's just looking for a place to run. He's got a ton of horse, and then he just dukes the outside, and really, I thought won impressive. Now, you can say, well, this is the $35,000 level. I think this horse may have surprised everybody, but, you know, that he wanted to run so good, and he just draws off here rather impressively. No, it's on the main track. We'll see if he can do it on the dirt. I'm hoping to get a little bit of a price, and it's just a good performance.
It was a good performance, and when you kind of see him turn for home, he had a sweep wide in there, but kept on moving. And I think you look that he was keen early on. You look at how he ran in the stretch. I think he's still a little green as well. He was trying to figure it out, wasn't sure what was being asked of him, but he was still a dominant winner in there. Amisael Jaramillo climbing aboard today, who wins at 27% with trainer Kent Sweezy. So a lot to like, and seems to be kind of training well for the second career start.
But I can understand. I have in second, you have on top, and that's Golden One. Has just been so impressive on the main track. You can see won the 75 optional claimer on the sealed sloppy track, was able to win its debut on the fast track against 50. So very versatile horse. No matter what the weather brings, this horse looks like it can run well.
Yeah, and this is the horse that I've not had either of his career starts that he's won, and he's done in impressive fashion. He's been forwardly placed in both of them, but I think, you know, kind of looking at his last race, I didn't know what was going to happen, and then he was able to still win by a length. Now, looking at him going 7/8, he's won at 6, 6.5. I'm not too worried about it. He has one of those inside draws, so I do think that he'll be close to the pace early on.
And Eldon Prince is going to try making 2 in a row after drawing clear. That was to win the 1 Mile Proud Man by 6 widening lengths on the turf. Safi, decides to keep this horse in. What are we expecting?
I don't know what I'm expecting. I'm just saying, you know, it was a strong debut for this colt. He was a $280,000 purchase back in April, so obviously they had some expectations for him. It was a good debut. We always say Safi, his 2-year-olds might need a race, and that was certainly the case because in the Proud Man as a maiden, this was a dominant winner, crushed the competition by 6 lengths. Now, it's a dirt race now. I don't know what to make of that. He seems to be training well on the dirt, but he's been in the turf on his first 2 starts. And I want to show a trainer stat here, though. I haven't shown a trainer stat for Saffie Joseph Jr. in a couple weeks. So I thought we were due here. I just want to look at maiden winners last time out the last 2 years. 23% from a sample size of 84 in terms of wins, 45 for 84 in the money, so 54%. With $1.29 ROI. So a lot to like about this one. Obviously, a lot of the questions will be the surface.
Our resident buyer aficionado, what do you make of the 53 buyer?
I'm not going to read into it too much because if you want to play games with the 53 and, Night Jumper had a 56, how different is it? I don't think in those cases, I mean, when you look at the field and you're trying to look for a career best in here, the number that I'm seeing is a 61. So I don't think it's too far off base, especially with these being 2-year-olds. I think there's room for improvement each start.
I thought the number 3 horse in here, Franklin, the Irish bred, is stretching out to this 7 furlongs against winners, recovered from that slow start. Pretty nice debut for this horse. Got to prove it can do it on the main track, too.
The big question is the dirt, and that's why I downgraded this colt. I just put him down to the 2nd spot. He was my top selection going into the turf race. But the big thing is this horse broke slowly and then just wanted to go to the front and, kind of make his way up there. He just missed by a neck in there behind Nerve. I think this colt shows a lot of promise. The stablemate Diamond Wow is another promising runner as well. So really curious to see if he can kind of transfer his form on the dirt. The one thing I will say, back in late August, 35 breezing out of the gate at Palm Meadow, so maybe he'll be all right.
Yeah, and these youngsters have only had 1 or 2 starts, so I mean, I don't think the dirt, and especially a fast track today, is going to really change that much on those 2-year-old races. Maybe older horses that have had lots of races on different surfaces, you could key into it. I think that horse has a big shot, as you do too. The race number 6 this afternoon is a 6 furlong maiden claimer for 3-year-olds and up, $12,500. And Citizen West looks like a logical contender with that free fall to the 12.5 level.
Yeah, it's a big fall. He's fallen out of $50,000 maiden claimer, sprinting on the turf back in May of 2021. Has been actually finished 2nd in those last 2 races and hasn't been able to get the job done. Now you talked to me about being a buyer aficionado. I think the buyer speed figures really kind of jump off the page. I know this one's going to have to show that he can race on the dirt, but after having a couple turf races consecutively, and I know it's a while back, but when he's in the Kelly Breen barn, he had an 88 buyer speed figure at Aqueduct going a mile on the dirt. So I'm really not worried about the surface, and you mentioned it's a pretty big drop.
Pretty big drop. Louis Russell's 3 for 9 limited sampling with the grass to dirt move, but why the big drop? I guess we'll have to find out. Looks like the one to beat. We both went with number 8 Doo-Wop Don, who's dropping to this level on the main track. Followed a trio. I thought solid performances sprinting on the dirt against better with a clunker against those 16 maidens going 5 on the grass. Eddie Pleaser, he's good with the grass to dirt angle. And what about that bullet work?
Nice bullet work, 47-4 here on September 9th. You mentioned that the clunker last time out on the turf. Yeah, it was certainly a disappointing performance. Was favored in that race, went off as the post-time favorite in that field of 10, and only beat 2 runners. Just never seemed to be comfortable sprinting on the turf. I like this one getting in here for the 12.5 level, the lowest tag of his career, and certainly the lowest on the main track.
Number 5, Full Send, is the horse you used in 3rd. I did go with the number 7, Dr. Roger. Pray tell, why did you use the 5?
Well, I'll say why I didn't use Dr. Roger, because Dr. Roger has broken my heart about maybe, I don't know, from April 29th to August 27th. I always use him for maybe 2nd in there. I actually used him on top last time out, and he failed as the favorite. But Full Send, I always watch the Michael Yates barn and seeing how their horses run, and I know he disappointed here over the slop on August 14th, and hopefully no rain showers, he'll get a fast main track, but he's certainly dropping in class today and for the lowest of his career. And I think when you look at just around this time last year, he had a nice 3rd and 4th against tougher competition. So I'm hoping 2nd off the layoff, fast main track, and the drop should be the perfect combination.
Let's take a short break. We'll clean our glasses, come back, and have the Rainbow Six. Welcome back to Gulfstream today, Ron and Ashley. Let's get right to my Rainbow Six ticket. We're a little up against time here, so we'll quickly go through my ticket. I got a $43.20. Got lots of nice coverage throughout the day. And, you know, a couple of those races with a lot of scratches on the turf races, so make sure you check them out. $43.20 for me. Let's go right to the seventh race. And I kept the number 8, Brett's World, on here. A well-meant second, you know, going a mile after finishing third, was beaten a half length in a race moved from the turf to a sloppy main track for Bobby DeBona. In the race, the 4, 5, 6, 7, 10, and 11 have been scratched.
Yeah, a lot of scratches in here. You mentioned that most recent race. I thought it was a good effort. Was third behind the second place finisher, Emoji Guy, and Shanghai Ronnie, who we'll see later on today. This horse just missed by half a length after being the pace setter at the mile distance. Prior to that, had a nice turf race. I just think his form is better than it was earlier this year, so I still use him on top as well.
And I think Stewie is a logical contender, should be primed and ready to offer more return from a three-mud layup to finish that stalk to pace third, albeit on the turf.
Yeah, the big question will be the dirt, but you mentioned second off the layoff. I thought it was a good effort last time out, and even before the break, he had a nice effort here on the turf. Looking at his kind of dirt works, we'll see what he can do here.
Let's go to race number 8 this afternoon. 6 furlongs. These are 3-year-olds and 4 and up, non-winners of 3. I went and you went with number 3, Guaco, who's changing barns, going to the Elizabeth Oval barn after the claim, turning back to 6 furlongs.
The barn does quite well off the claim, 22% first off, and you mentioned last time out was second. Was well beaten in there. Bold Envoy was just much the best, but I didn't think he'd break the sharpest. My only reservation, not only did I use him on top last time out and got denied, but he is 0 for 9 here over the main track, so something to note.
What about the number 1, Moni, in here?
Nice win last time out. I know this horse just picked up the second lifetime win and is, you know, kind of in the next logical spot for him. But it was an easy win, won by 4 1/4 lengths. This horse is kind of forwardly placed last time out, so I like the inside draw, and Christian Torres stays aboard.
Let's go to race number 9 this afternoon, and this is our second of 3 stakes races. The Our Dear Peggy, $75,000 guaranteed. Scratch the 1, the 3, the 5, and the 9. Jockey on the 6 is Sammy Camacho. Let's check out your late pick 4 ticket.
Yeah, I changed the sequence here. I ended up bumping it up $24. I spread in the last race. I added some extra horses when this race came off the turf, and the 2 things that I'll mention, I do single in race 11. I really like Shanghai Ronnie in that spot. In race 10, I think the 5 and the 6 look tough, but I went with a long shot on top. I've been impressed what I've seen from so far from the number 3, My Main Man. So the single gave me some coverage in the other races for a $24 ticket.
Well, $24, very affordable. So let's get to the Our Dear Peggy. Interesting to see who you put on top. I know you like the performance of number 4, Diamond Wow. Oh, you did put it on top. And I know you've been enamored with this horse, going to try and run on the main track today. And this will be at, this is at 7 furlongs.
Yeah, this is at 7 furlongs on the main track. This filly I thought was super impressive last time out. She had some nice works going into that race as a first-time starter for Patrick Biancone. But when she won for fun, and then I watched her gallop out, and she looked like she could stretch out. She was much in front, looked really great, and I know, kind of looking at her, you wouldn't expect that. She's not some big chestnut filly. She's a little compact, but boy, is she quick.
Well, I'm going to swing for the fences here with the number 7, David's Rose, who has a really nice win with speed against 12-5 maidens going on the dirt. It was just a good performance. Won that race by 3 lengths. And Eddie Plessis Jr., and I think this horse benefits with the move to the main track. I don't know what kind of price I'm going to get this afternoon. The 4, Diamond Wow, for all the reasons you mentioned, Patrick Biancone, Romero Mirage up top that daughter of Looking at Lucky. And I always thought Looking at Lucky's were a little better on the dirt.
Yeah, me too. I mean, when you kind of look at this field in general and you're looking at the 7, David's Rose, first off, you aren't going to get 15-1, but last time out it was a dominant winner. Ended up having a big lead on the field, and the field kind of started to catch up a bit, but still was 3 lengths clear. Still jumping up in class today. I mean, I know we kind of used most of the field in here, but even horses like Harper Be Good that has that dirt experience, Queen Camilla, who they sent to Saratoga for a race and then finished 3rd last time out. It's going to be interesting to see how this kind of race pans out.
Yeah, and she's entered for the main track. She was entered for the main track. Race 10 this afternoon, 7 furlongs. This is the city of West Park. It's a handicap for 3-year-olds, $60,000. big horse in here, Flamingo Hawk. Let's go back and just show you 8-pole home when Flamingo Hawk draws clear after sitting behind. Look at those fractions, 21.99 and 44 and 3. So he got the perfect table setter performance here to just draw off and win it.
Oh, yeah, it was for fun in the end. Everyone else is kind of staggering home. I will say Gatsby was 2-1 in there, came back to win here not too long ago, just a couple days ago. But Flamingo Hawk, much the best, 87 buyer speed figure, which is probably the best as of recent out of that last race that these horses entered. I used this horse in my top 3. Honestly, I was really confused because every time I leave Papa 2 out, he wins, and I went with a price instead.
Yeah, what about the 3, my main man from John Vincent?
Yeah, we'll just cut to the stat real quick here for the connections, John Vincent, and the work that he does. Looking at my main man's horse can be making second off the layoff. So I looked at second off the layoff for 45 to 188 days the past 5 years, 20% in terms of wins, 40% in the money with $1.94 ROI. I figure this horse is going to be close to the pace. Obviously, that didn't turn out so well for the outcome of Flamingo Hawk's race. The pace setters were able to tire in there, but he's coming out of a nice 1-mile event where he just got beat by a nose, and really, he hasn't done anything wrong in his 4 career starts.
You mentioned the number 5, Papa 2. I'm in agreement with you. This one doesn't miss many dances. Wheels back, rallied to the wide to finish second. Was the favorite that day in the $75,000 Bears Den, which was contested at 7 furlongs. It was on that sloppy track. Miguel Vasquez rides. This horse won the carryback.
He won the carryback, 92 buyer speed figure. And the thing I want to point out, that was going 7/8 over a fast main track. So as long as there aren't showers, I'm really hoping that he gets a fast track, because on the slop he's run well, but I think he prefers a dry surface.
Well, let's go to race number 11. This is a mile claimer for 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds, and up, non-winners of 2 in life. 12.5 down to $10,000. Boy, number 8, Divert, to me looks tough. Changing barns, going to the Rohan Creighton barn. Let's go back. We're going to show you first the start of this race when this horse breaks in a tangle. He's the number 8 that afternoon, and just he almost goes to his knees in there. Looks like the ground broke out between him, and I just thought, he ran okay after that, and I just wanted to show you just a little bit of the stretch run, because you can see this horse is certainly behind the 8 ball. Usually shows a lot more speed than that, and I thought to finish third here, I just picked it up at the 8 pole just to show you that he was game to finish third. He looked like he had some run later on, switched leads, and I just thought he ran okay coming after that horrendous break. So there it is running. It looks like he's a little green too, but he ran okay after that bad start, and that is Divert.
Yeah, he had a troubled trip for sure. The break did not help him. He was favored in there, but as you mentioned, he still ran on in the stretch. And prior to that, he'd won 2 races consecutively. He won his first career win against 12.5 maidens, then came back. And so even then, it was still a tall task to win 3 in a row. We certainly know that at the claiming level. I used him for second, and the horse that I went to is the number 4, not because of the name, but it is Shanghai Ronnie. My best bet on the day. Louis Russell trains this one. Last time out, they were really hoping for the turf, and when the race came off, they ended up kind of lucking out. For him, it was his career best performance. He had to work for it in the end, but he was able to get up late, and for me, I'm really keen in on that most recent effort.
And Louis Russell just having a fantastic summer. Let's go right to the final race of the afternoon, and I'm going to see who you put on top. Oh, we both have the number 11 horse in here. So it started off with number 11, and that is, what's his name? I don't know.
I never say this name right, so I'm going to let you take a stab at this and have fun.
This is that one. 210 Hamatuchu. Yeah, no, we'll wait for Pete to give you that one.
This one was third last time out on the main track, going 5.5 furlongs. Was able to make up some ground in there. The top 2 he was never going to get to in there. But prior to that, I was kind of looking at his turf race. I know it was on the turf, but he finished second, beaten by a length and 3/4. His last 3, they've all been okay efforts. I think first off the claim for the connections, they do quite well, 22%. And kind of looking at the remaining runners in the field, he was the one that I had the most faith in.
And the number 14 in horse here, Star Deputy from the Monica Majoey barn. This one I think can run well. A couple of races on, going a mile in the 16th on the turf. I just thought at this level, this horse might be able to grab a share.
Me too. I thought the level would be kind of a good thing for this one. I know the last couple efforts have been lackluster, but I know something else. Monica had a pretty big winner last week that I missed. I thought, kind of looking at the prices in here. And the one thing I didn't realize till looking at this, looking at the connections, Ryder and Jock, when they team up here at Gulfstream Park, 29%. So I thought that was something to maybe key in on.
Well, let's go right to our lightning round this afternoon because we got to turn it over to Pete Aiello so he can give you all the scratches we have in those turf races here. And we're going to start it off with a horse that was very impressive yesterday, Pretty Rachel. We're going to just pick up the stretch run. Why? She won a 5th consecutive race. You don't usually see these horses run that. She just cruised in the slop.
Yeah, it was an easy win. The horse that I thought maybe might pressure her for a second really wasn't there at all. It doesn't matter for her, win after win. It doesn't matter. Fast, sloppy track as it's raining. She was just much the best.
Hey, we got our buddy Mike Smith, the Hall of Fame jockey Mike Smith, going to make a rare appearance up at Laurel Park. I think he rides in 3 on the Francis card today.
Yeah, it's a good card, $500,000 in stakes races, and you don't necessarily see big money Mike always in Maryland, but always a great addition to the jockey colony for the day.
And, up in Canada, which I know you know a lot about, they got some really nice races up there. And one of the horses that won the Tropical Turf this winter, the 2021, there you're going to see Ryder Comet, a really nice performance, trained by Mark Cassie, and he's in the Grade 1 Woodbine Mile today. So I thought this horse ran a really nice race here. Maybe he'll win up there.
Yeah, and Mark Cassie obviously does tremendous work down here, but also at Woodbine, kind of his home grounds up there, and just been racing there for years. I feel like every time I look at the results, I see multi-win days for the barn, and he's got some live horses throughout the card, and I think there's some interesting storylines coming out of their big day.
Another one of our local stakes winners going to retire, and then his Basin, trained by Todd Pletcher. We're going to show him winning the $100,000 Sir Shackleton last time. I think that's the last time he won.
It was the last time he won. He was off the board, I think, in his 3 following performance. But he was gritty here. I know he was 3-2, so he's kind of expected to win in this spot. But he beat some nice local runners here that are been racing here throughout even the spring and summer. So nice to see him, I guess, go out a winner in his last race at Gulfstream. But he didn't perform well in his last couple of races of his career. But he still was a Grade 1 winner, Ron. He won the Grade 1 hopeful at Saratoga back in 2019.
Well, we did it. 19 minutes to post. We got to give it to Pete Aiello. He's got lots of scratches to give you.